This is 5 Minute Friday, and we are going to talk about how to do an annual review. This is something I've been doing for the last 5-6 years, and I've been using Chris Guillebeau's template. And this year I was also using Orion Mark's Art of Life Crafting template. And at the end of each year and the beginning of the next, I take a big, long look back at what went well, what didn't go well in the last year, all the fun things, the meaningful things, the accomplishments, where I stayed on track, where I got off track, things like this. And this is super valuable because most people overestimate what they can do in a day, but they underestimate what they can do in a year. So it's really important to look back and really see what you accomplished and see all the amazing experiences that you had throughout the year. There is generally so much that people forget about, or if they achieve something great, oftentimes people have a tendency to just skip right over celebrating that. Maybe you closed a huge sale, or often relationships, we get to celebrate those with weddings and anniversaries and things like that. But there are so many other things that we don't get to celebrate. So this is an opportunity for you to fully take in and celebrate the good things that happen throughout the year, which is super important. This is also a chance for you to understand how you make decisions, looking back at some of the major decisions you've made throughout the year. Some other important considerations to look at are what things challenged you or where you took risks, things that were meaningful to you, and when you were living in line with your values, or when you discovered something about one of your values, and also asking if you showed up the way that you wanted to as a person. And overall, this really helps me remember that it's not necessarily that I'm doing a bunch of different things. Like I have a giant to-do list for the year because I set some goals and I do it, but it's more about who I am being. And if I'm an exciting, enthusiastic, loving entrepreneur, then the actions that someone like that does, they just follow naturally. It's just part of who you are. And so it's not hard to go out and do those things. So looking back and planning ahead is also about assessing who you are being. So go to Chris Guillebeau's Art of Nonconformity or Orion Mark's Art of Life Crafting and download their templates if you want to have a really easy way to follow along and do your own. All right, now I'll share some of the highlights from my own 2017, some of the meaningful things, some of the achievements, what went well. So this podcast, we surpassed 150,000 downloads. So thank you. If you're listening to this, you are part of that. We're nearly at 200 episodes, and it's been an amazing journey. I signed my first book deal. We bought our first Airbnb investment property, and we're going to live there when we're not renting it on Airbnb. Adventure Quest was successful. We had several attendees working on their business and going on adventures in the Ozarks, and we're going to be doing more of that in 2018. Plus, probably the biggest achievement that I have for the year of 2017 was filling my business coaching practice, my private practice. Some of you may have heard about me offering to sit down for a call with people that are listening to this show. Well, enough of you took me up on that offer that it is now a thriving business. So thank you. So we got to do some really great adventures, a lot of travel this year. My son went to his first 9 months of being alive. That was really exciting. We went to Baja in Mexico. We lived on the Croatian coast of the Mediterranean. Saw some amazing national parks in Croatia. Our favorite country in Europe was Slovenia. We took a road trip through Slovenia, Austria, and Italy. Slovenia is amazing. Wineries, it has a Mediterranean coast, it has Alps, it has rivers. It's so cool. So it's a hidden little gem. We also lived in Budapest, Hungary. It's just such an amazing imperial city from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Really cool place to live. We did things like take Axel on his bike ride. I got to go to Oktoberfest in Munich, which is so amazing. Just, the biggest beer party anywhere. It's been going for 200 years. It started off as a wedding. People liked it so much that they kept drinking beer every fall for the last 200 years. And I was certified as a cavern diver, which means I was cave diving. I learned how to go cave diving. That's the step towards the full-fledged cave dive certification, which you can no longer see the light of day from you go all the way back in a fully submerged cave. Very exciting. And we wrapped up the year in sunny Southern California. So you may have been following along on Instagram, Facebook, etc. throughout the year, but that's your quick summary if you are just listening to the podcast and you haven't caught all the stories of things that we've done. Some of the peak experiences. Now, this is a really cool thing because achievements and peak experiences don't always have to be the same thing. So one example of a peak experience that I experienced this year was I've memorized the Braveheart speech from the Battle of Stirling in the movie Braveheart, where he starts off, he's like, "Sons of Scotland." This is because I went to a Scottish college, Macalester College. Anyway, I got to give the Braveheart speech to hundreds of people at the Freedom X Fest in Budapest. And it was so much fun. And everyone got out of their chairs and they yelled, "Freedom!" And it was so perfect. I was very happy I got the chance to do that. We were featured in the Croatian national news media on TV and in the newspaper. And the translation to English it's very entertaining if you want to check that out. I got to wear a legitimate suit of armor in a castle in Slovenia. We met someone who owned a castle and she invited us over and she has an armory and I got to be a knight. It was so cool. For Heidi's birthday, I organized a charity dance. We had a DJ and a bunch of women dance. It actually wasn't as well attended as I hoped, but we raised a bunch of money and Heidi got to have a dance for her birthday. Super cool. I did a backflip off some sea cliffs into the Adriatic Sea, which I had always been afraid of doing. So very, very happy to be able to finally backflips into water. So lots of really cool peak experiences. What else is important to note? This annual review is a time when you can look back and sort of see the bulk of the things you've done. So each week I was writing an article, about 1,000 words for the Good Men Project, about fatherhood. And, looking back on a year's worth of work, that's about 35 articles, 3,500 words, or maybe 40,000 words, which is enough for a book. So I basically wrote a book. So maybe that's something I'll publish in 2018. And just so we're clear, the annual review process isn't about just all the amazing things that happened. You can also look at the things that kind of sucked. Ask yourself why they sucked or why you had a big goal and you didn't do it. So there's a lot of things that I wanted to do that I didn't do. I didn't do yoga teacher training. I wanted to try to read the whole Bible and Quran. I didn't do that. Mostly the lesson I learned from all of this is that I bit off more than I could chew. I tried to take on too many things, and I'm learning that it's better to do a few things really well. Swing for the fences, as they say. Also, some things are out of my control. I applied and interviewed for a couple TED Talks and made the final round, but wasn't accepted. So I'm close, but didn't quite get it. So that's not really up to me. So I have to be satisfied with the effort that I did put in on that. After you look at your year, it's time to plan ahead for the next year. And the ideal way to do this is to look at many different areas of your life. So not just how you're going to make more money or what you're going to do in your career, but you're looking at things like your mind, your body, your spirit, your character, your finances, your stuff, your physical surroundings, your relationships, your experiences, creativity, contribution, and you're picking some meaningful goals and aspirations to strive for in those areas. And some may be more meaningful and important. And so you put those at the very top of your list. This is the number one thing I want to make sure happens in 2018. All right, hopefully that was a helpful overview of how to do an annual review, looking back, planning ahead. Check out my full annual review. There's several posts, but you can start at derekloudermilk.com/2017-review. And if one of your goals is to be more adventurous in 2018, then you should check out Adventure Quest. We're going to be doing some really awesome trips this year. So head over to derekloudermilk.com/adventurequest. The Bali trip is coming up April 22nd to 29th. This is for entrepreneurs who are ready to be bold thought leaders We're going to be working on specific areas of your business, specific areas of your expression and brand and courage. And of course, we're going to be going on a ton of awesome adventures like canyoning, volcano climbing, surfing, all the normal stuff. Thanks so much for listening to this 5 Minute Friday. Now it's your turn to go out there and be adventurous.